guitar students have often asked me, what is it that makes guitars different and what should they be looking for as far as value for money in purchasing a guitar? So today we've asked Pierre from Guitars Online to come down and share some of his experience with us. Hi Pierre.
Thank you, Steve. I appreciate the opportunity. Yes, I've thought a lot about this because, one, I've bought guitars for myself, but also lived in Spain for 17 years, and I've bought all sorts of brands into the country. And I'm always trying to find the best value guitar I can. The reality at every level, you get what you pay for. Whether you're paying under 500, whether you're paying between 500 and 1,000, you're always looking for that quality that's going to give you the extra tone, the extra playability, that's going to make it easy for you. So I have selected brands over the years, and I'm always trying to find better bang for bucks, because that, after all, is what it's all about. And as a player, that's what I've been looking for. So I appreciate the fact that you as a teacher can also see that, and thank you for asking me along.
And I'd like to ask Pierre if he can run me through this guitar and tell me all about it.
Sure. Well, that particular one is an Alhambra 1C, and it's the entry-level guitar for Alhambra. And it's a solid top guitar that also comes in spruce. And the nice thing about the cedar is it has beautiful basses, and the spruce top, however, has lovely trebles and good midtones. And the spruce, of course, over time gets better and better. However, the cedar has that nice warmth that you expect to get out of a classical guitar straight out of the box. It's for an entry-level guitar, it delivers a very sophisticated sound, and I guess you're about to find that out.
Yeah, let's have a look at a nice little piece, eh? What gives us that nice sound at such a reasonable price?
It comes down to the quality of the top. Alhambra, and I've brought in all sorts of brands from Spain and also China. I've had some inexpensive instruments made there. Alhambra just puts superb tops onto all of their guitars. And let's remember that the top is the most important part of the guitar because it is creating and punching out that sound. So the quality of that top is what drives the whole interpretation of the piece.
You were telling me earlier, Pierre, it's the back and sides also that make the instrument what it is.
Yeah, the back and sides, a lot of people think that solid back and sides is best. What the back and sides do is they add colour, but they don't really deliver tone. So if you've got a choice between having a beautiful top on your guitar or getting a solid back and sides guitar, I would always say go with that beautiful top, because that's what's going to give you that pleasure in the music.
And what have we got on the back and sides here with this one?
You've got rosewood.
Okay. As opposed to other sorts of woods?
Yeah, I mean, you can get all sorts of woods on the back and sides, but as I say, the back and sides are less important than the quality of the top. You can get walnut, you can get traditional, though, has always been rosewood or Brazilian rosewood.
Yeah. And with your spruce versus cedar versus repertoire, what sort of someone that may specialise in Renaissance, Baroque or whatever?
The question between spruce and cedar is a very personal one, right? I sell roughly 50-50 of both, and what you're generally getting out of a cedar top is beautiful basses, but if what you're going to have, as you say, the Baroque repertoire Bach, where you've got a lot of trebles and a lot of midtones, and you're really looking for that sweet tone, then you might want to think about looking at a spruce, because it's ideally suited for that repertoire, especially because of the quality of the top. It's a very sweet spruce, as opposed to a very harsh spruce that you sometimes get on some cheaper guitars.
What would it cost for this particular model?
Trust you to ask that question. It's the first question that teachers and parents ask. Yeah, it actually sounds too good, doesn't it, for its price?
Yeah.
It's actually just over $500. So it's probably somebody's second guitar, and when they're starting to getting a little bit serious and want to produce nice, even tone, that's the time to look at an upgrade.
Yeah. How do they do it at that price? What is it that they...
Well, basically, Alhambra has been making guitars for half a century, and their guys have been doing for probably 30 years, nothing but make guitars. They have very standardized processes. All of the cutting is always millimeter controlled by CNC. They have special machinery developed to mold, but 80% of the work on a guitar is still hand done. I've been to the factory, I spent a week there working, and these guys just work really hard and really fast. And I've done random testing of the guitars, and they're always consistent. They always sound good straight out of the box. And this is why Alhambra are probably the only Spanish manufacturer that offer a 3-year warranty on everything.
Mm-hmm.
So if there's ever a problem, I just exchange the guitar over. But so far, I haven't had any problems.
Yeah. It does seem to me that you'd need to go a little bit more with some brands to get this quality.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's a very reasonable price. So what's next in the range? This is great, but you've got the next one up for us.
Yeah, in actual fact, the next one in the range is obviously the 2, because they go from models 1, which is the entry level, to model 11, which is the high-end student model, which generally tertiary institutions and conservatoriums use. The next one is the model 2, which in this case is a spruce top, and you can tell that because it's a very light coloured top with a very tight grain. So you're going to probably notice that it's going to deliver you just that nicer trebles and more projection. But I'll let you be the judge. You've handled more guitars than I have, ever.
Yeah, that sounds pretty nifty. That's great.
See the amount of detail you're getting and
Yeah.
nice crisp midtones?
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, you can hear it. So, again, cedar as opposed to spruce. What sort of repertoire would you be looking to play with a...
I would be looking for repertoire that has lots of trebles in it. These are the lighter strings as opposed to basses, though the basses are very nice too, but it's just that repertoire brings out, spruce brings out that lovely trebly sound. And just exactly what you've been playing.
Yeah, so who would be looking to get this guitar?
I think you're probably talking about somebody who's probably been studying for a couple of years. Yeah. If somebody's been studying for like 3 or 4 years, they'd probably want to go to the 4P, which is 2 models above this one. But that model then is the start of the intermediate range, and it just has starts to get the polish almost of a concert guitar.
Yes. And the cost for this one?
That is around $700 retail, about $720 as I seem to remember.
And again, great value for the
Absolutely.
for the money.
Yep. And you get that nice rounded G tone out of it, and this is the nice thing about Alhambra, and this is why over the years I've narrowed them down, is because people pick them up and immediately like them because they stand out.
Yeah, yeah. And I wonder how versatile these are. You get off classical guitar repertoire? Are they good for...
Yeah, you can play anything on them. In actual fact, if you wanted to get them as a cutaway or as a left-handed guitar, they also come as cutaways and left-handed with amplification. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, the most important thing is that the guitar delivers detail in whatever you play, so it makes you sound good. Mm-hmm. They're also set up so that you can play them all the way evenly down the neck, which is not something that can be said about a lot of guitars. I know because I've played a lot of them.
Yeah. Okay. Well, shall we go on to the next one? Have a look at our next guitar.
Next up on the range is the 3C, which is what I was talking about before. Again, this particular instrument has even more detail in the top, and what that means is the quality of this top just drives and sings. What do you think?
Yeah, big full sound. looking at this one?
I think you're probably talking about somebody that either wants to do coming from steel or electric and wants to get familiar with nylon. You're talking about somebody perhaps that's been studying classical music for a little while, or it's a good intermediate guitar. I mean, for around $800, it plays really nicely. It has all of the tone of a much more expensive guitar, and it's going to make you sound good. So basically, it's a pretty much of an all-round guitar. And it's just plays beautifully.
You know, I'm curious as what it is that makes it that little bit better as opposed to the previous one. Obviously, for the price, if you're looking at spending a certain amount, you'll get good bang for your buck. But what is it that this one has that takes it to that next level?
I would tend to say that and I've seen hundreds of these, what you're talking about at every level is you're going up in quality on the harmonic top. The quality of the tops just increases with every step that you go up. It may be just a step of an extra $100 odd, but the quality of that top just drives that guitar, because it's like a loudspeaker. A quality loudspeaker is going to make your stereo or your playing sound that much better because it's richer and more powerful to drive it. And this is exactly the case with these tops. As you go up the range, you're getting more and more detail, better driver, bigger, fuller sound. And of course, it's working harder for you.
And what would this cost us?
That's about $870.
So again, that's still under that $1,000 mark, and
Absolutely.
You get that.
All the bang for the buck.
Yeah, that's great. Now, moving up to the next level.
Well, the next level is we're starting with the intermediate range. So models 1 to 3 are the entry-level models, and the Model 4 is again a pretty major step. It's just over $1,000, but in terms of tone and quality, it's quite a big step.
Okay.
Would you like me to show you the cedar or the spruce top first?
Let's start spruce, because this is spruce, so we'll keep it in context.
Okay. Well, this is the spruce, and I'll put the little gitano stand.
Yeah, that's a lot of fun.
Yeah.
And now...
I mean, I could bore you with all the technical details, like it has an ebony fingerboard and gold tuners.
I love all this stuff.
All that sort of thing. But what really changes here is the internal structure. It's no longer just a fan-braced guitar. It actually has tone bars. And this is why you're just feeling that extra polish on the tone.
But just if we could just explain what that fan bracing is.
Okay. Spanish guitars have evolved over the last 200 years, roughly. And at the end of the 19th century, the structure of the present guitar was more or less set by a gentleman by the name of Torres. And what fan bracing means is you have a series of, this top is supported underneath by a series of bars. Now, some have 3, some have 5, depending on the stiffness of the top. Then you also have tone bars at times, in order to get that top to just produce a much more structured tone. And this is what I was talking about the quality of the top being key. But the next way that you can improve the tone and the delivery of that guitar is to work on the internal structure. And all this comes down to the amount of time that you can spend in the construction phase of that guitar. And these guys are just very good at actually figuring out, if they look at a top, how best to use that top and fine-tune it so it actually delivers a much better tone. And the tone bars just give it that extra concert sound, which is what you can hear in the difference when you are playing those riffs. And if you play something that's classically oriented and driven, you'll hear it immediately. So if you like that, and just for the sake of argument, because we were talking about before the difference between spruce and cedar, right? Try the cedar version of that guitar, and you'll probably hear there is a difference. If you just play the same riffs.
Yeah. It's a big difference.
See how the basses are richer?
And I don't know that you'd say better or worse.
No, it truly is a question of whether your hearing is more oriented towards basses or more oriented towards trebles. I often argue that as you progress, you should probably have a spruce top for some repertoire and a cedar top for other repertoire, because they just suit different music, also suit different moods. But that particular guitar, the 4P, is the biggest seller bar none, and 2 years ago in the US it was named the best guitar under $1,000 because it just vanquished everything else, and it just has that nice polish and tone production, beautiful handling, quite apart from all the other luxury details that it has in terms of its build. But in terms of its tone delivery, it's just a very solid performer. And a lot of the kids going up for exams love this guitar because it makes them sound good, and it just makes the techniques much easier to execute because it's very well set up.
Yeah, boy, I'd like to play it a little. Okay, so who would this suit?
Funnily enough, I think that it would suit either somebody at an intermediate level who's going to start going to some serious exams and needs a guitar that has good tone, is going to make them look good, and that's very easy to play, so it's perfectly set up. The other one is it suits a beginner, such as myself, or anybody coming to the guitar that's always wanted to have a nice nylon guitar that's going to be easy to play and to be all purpose. This is a guitar that does all of that, and it's still at a very entry-level price.
You know, the thought occurs to me that a concert guitar is a concert guitar, so to have one at home just for your own use might be a bit of overkill. So this may be just all anyone would need.
Absolutely, unless you're going to be doing concerts, and by that stage you're probably looking at the upper end of the range, like a 10p or an 11p, which is a high performance guitar. This is probably, to be honest, more than most people are ever going to need. There is the 5p, which is the next one up, but again, that's more detail. It takes a huge jump in terms of quality, but this 4p is just a very, very solid performer, which is why it's the biggest seller across the whole range.
I actually don't know how to put this next question, but it was a very tidy sound as I was playing a bit. You know, sometimes you play other guitars, I don't know, something is loose about, you know. Do you know where I'm going to with
Absolutely,
this?
absolutely. Yeah. It's the conversation we were having before, that we were comparing a guitar that was very expensive, but yet it didn't give you anything. It certainly played the notes, but it gave you nothing extra. It wasn't round. It wasn't a generous guitar. Whereas this, although it's a student guitar and it's just an intermediate level, it's very generous. It gives you that nice, round, fat sound. It feels nice to play, and you can forget about the instrument and actually just enjoy it. And I think what you're feeling is just that it's a nice, professional sounding guitar at an entry level price.
And what would that price be?
$1,080. And that's with the rise of the euro. So
So someone should have both of these, the
Absolutely.
spruce and the cedar.
Absolutely. In actual fact, this is my biggest selling as a teaching guitar to teachers. They love the 4P because it sounds great, but they don't have to spend $3,000.
So if someone wants to find out a little more about these guitars, how should they do so? Okay,
the best way is to just click the link that's on the CD-ROM, and that'll take you directly to my website, which is www.guitarsonline.com.au. and if you want to find who stocks them, just go to the dealer tag. If, however, you want to find out more about them and hear more and see them played, all of the instruments have DVD tracks with them, and you're able to click on and listen to classical or flamenco pieces or modern pieces on each one of those guitars.
Thanks, Pierre. This issue, we took a look at the $500 to $1,000 price range. In the next issue, we're going to have a look at the guitars under the $500 range. Now, as a teacher, I know that the students that go for their exams playing on good guitars that sound good, they often do better, or do better than this poor old student that has the cheaper guitar. So I believe these Alhambra guitars are worth having a look at. Until next edition, we'll see you then.